Hey, Aloha offline sharks. Welcome to the Aloha Friday Marketing Jam Session. I'm Tom Gaddis. I have my business partner and East Coast neighbor on the call as well, Nick Ponte. How's it going, Nick?
It's going good.
You going out for a little baseball later? Got your hat on backwards, gonna hit a few balls. Yeah. Is that what you're doing?
hit some chew, eat some beef jerky.
Yeah, get some of that Big League. You remember Big League? Oh, yeah. You can get that. But so, being from Oklahoma, my grandfather, he actually chewed real tobacco, and I used to love to get Big League because I thought as a kid, like, I'm being cool now. Crazy, right? Crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy what they would do back
then. You get sick?
Yeah, I did. I never took up chewing, luckily. So thank goodness, right? Thank goodness. Well, awesome. We're excited you're here for the Aloha Marketing Jam Session. We got a great show today. We're going to be talking about SEO, always a popular topic in our group. I think what we'll do now is let's cue up the intro, and then we'll see you back here in a few minutes.
Are you ready for the fastest 60 minutes of local marketing strategy, tactics, tips, and fun on planet Earth? It's now time. The moment you've been waiting for. After 167 agonizing hours, they've returned. Broadcasting live from their island retreats, smack dab in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, and now back for a brand new Sharks Live show. It's your hosts, the Offline Sharks, Tom Gaddis and Nick Ponte.
Listen to that crowd out there, fired up as always. Fired up as always. That's amazing. That's amazing.
So this is totally off topic, but it's a little bit of interesting news. All right.
Okay.
Have you ever heard of that new Citizen app?
No.
It's pretty crazy, especially if you live in the city. If you live in the city, it's like an app, right? And it tells you in your proximity, like. It's kind of like a police scanner. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's like in your proximity, like little pins will drop next to you when like things come in, and like it literally shows you like what's going on in the city all around you. And I was like, I'm gonna turn this thing off. I don't think it's good for me. Like notifications were coming in, like people getting mugged and stuff. Like. Not even that far away. I was like, whoa.
I just saw a news story come out of there about some masked guy shooting into a Harry Potter store or something on Fifth Avenue.
What? I wanted to go to that Harry Potter store.
I just saw that story. Yeah. Hope everybody's okay. I hope nobody was injured, but yeah, crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
It's getting a little crazy over here, but it's also pretty cool.
Yeah, well, it's interesting how there's all that stuff that kind of goes on around you, but you like usually in your little area, it's not, it's different everywhere, right? Like it's not like that every place in New York.
Right.
Yeah. When I played the intro, like I had my volume turned up really loud, about blew me out of my chair. I was like, Jesus, it was loud. I had to turn it down. Awesome. Well, man, we have a great show lined up today, and we're excited everybody's here. I gotta look at the comments here. I gotta start lock and load. Richard, which is love me some SEO. Somebody said somebody's back in lockdown. Yikes.
Oh, that sucks.
Hey, Sharks. Wow, I see a lot of just Facebook users. Is something going on with StreamYard? I don't know. The computer's been acting weird today. Like my Slack, like every time I go to open it up, it's like frozen. I got to like force quit and then restart it. It starts working. Yeah. Somebody said SEO nerds unite.
That's right.
That's right.
You read the email. That means you read the email. Look, Dorn says that he has an SEO call at 4:30. That's Dorn. Who are you calling? What kind of company? What do you got going on, man? Give us some info. We'd love to break some of that down in this call.
Yeah, put it in the chat. Maybe before we dive into the SEO talk, one thing we like to do every week on this show is celebrate these shark successes, right? So people share a success they're having in the group. We like to feature those on the week. We actually have one shout out this week, but it's a really good one. It's a really good one. So one of the things that we would like you to do, though, is here. I'm going to pop a link up on the screen. So go to this link. offlinesharks.com/shoutouts. And you're going to see the shout out post there, the member we're celebrating. Great family picture. And just tell them, great job. Congratulations. Way to go. And then at the end of this stream, we're going to pick a few random people that commented there and give them some cash. Pretty easy. Leave a comment, get some cash. Pretty straightforward, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, cool. So go to that post, go to that link now, offlinesharks.com/shoutouts, leave a comment. And I see some coming in. Ooh, Jacqueline Heath, quick on the trigger. Already left a comment there. That's awesome. Cool. And then let's talk about this shout out, because this is something that's been going on a lot lately in the Facebook group. Like, we've been seeing a ton of people having success with one of our kind of core programs, which is the Coupon Cash System Unleashed. And we had a few people last week on there, some people the week before, and this week's shout out is along the same line. So we want to give a big shout out to Clint Howard. Get some applause going there for you, Clint. So Clint, I love that family picture. That's a great family picture, Clint. So Clint shared in the Facebook group, he put together a mailer with 15 spots. It's an 8.5 by 11 mailer, right? So he's doing a smaller one. He did a little more spots on it. His total revenue, he sold 14 of the 15 spots already. And the total revenue will be 3,000. I think that's 3,250. And then he's going to use that money collected, right? Part of that program is we use the money we collect. Like, we collect the money first. That's what makes this thing so powerful. We collect the money first, and then we do fulfillment, a model that you should be doing with almost all of any services that you offer. You know, when people always say, well, how much does it cost to do SEO and all that stuff? Like, it shouldn't cost you anything, because you should be collecting the money first from the client and then paying for the fulfillment. And this is just a great, straightforward, easy way to get a system like that in place. Anyway, so he's going to collect $3,250 in revenue, but his profit is going to be $2,440, which is amazing. Fantastic job, Clint. Awesome job getting that all put out and everything. So way to go. Go to that post, leave him a comment. Excellent work.
Heck yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah, I see that. He's a Denver Broncos fan too up there, yeah? Because maybe he's in Denver.
We got a few Broncos fans in our group.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, awesome, Clint. Well, way to go, Clint. Congratulations from Nick, myself, the entire Offline Sharks team. Way to go, and good job. A little more applause for you. All right. So did Dorn tell us what his...
Yeah, so Dorn said that he is working with a solar company. His Google My Business is a mess. No citations, no listings, no backlinks. Websites need work. No reputation, no social. So it sounds like what he did was he got a good lead. He came in, he did what we do. We do our research, right? We do our homework. We find all the little weaknesses that we can arm ourselves with, I guess you could say. And when we get on that call, we offer our solutions to fix those weaknesses. So having no citations, no listings, no backlinks, that's an awesome lead, because to me, knowing what I know in terms of fulfillment and all that stuff, like, that's easy to do, right? That's easy to fulfill. You basically, like Tom mentioned with the last strategy, for those of you that don't know, search engine optimization as like a base service. If you offer, by the way, who's offering search engine optimization? Give me an SEO in the comments if you are offering search engine optimization. And also, a second tier to that question is, what's your profit margin with your SEO offering? Because for us, we operate at around a 70% profit margin. I'm getting a little echo, Tom, from your mic. You got your speakers better? On 15? Yeah.
I turned it down even more. Is that better?
Yeah, it's good.
Okay.
So about 70% profit margin. And I'll break down, just for all of you here, what goes into that. So with our SEO service, usually in the first month, we will do kind of like the most work really happens in the first month. And we're doing a lot of like the on-page stuff. We're looking at a website. If it's an existing website, we're kind of going back and we're fixing it. You know, we're doing some of these guidelines. We're fixing some of these guidelines. This is like, the titles of the website, how much content is on a page, if it's optimized for the right keyword, those types of things. And then we might even be publishing some actual content to their site, because usually for local SEO, people don't have enough written content on their site. They really have just like a nice site. But for SEO, local SEO, you need to think about the eyes of the search engine when they're looking at you, right? You got just vision Saruman's eye and Lord of the Rings. The eye, that thing, that's what it's like. That's Google looking at you, especially on month 1 of doing SEO. Their eye is like always on you. And so you're going to be doing a lot of these on-page things. That month, we're at probably about a 60 to 50% margin, because it's really just a lot of human legwork, right? We have our project manager who does a lot of that stuff, follows a checklist, an on-page template, and then we'll optimize the site based off of all that stuff. So it's pretty easy to do. And then moving forward, we do written articles, we do backlinks, we do press releases, citations, all those types of things. And again, you should be operating at 70% margin, and you should be buying a lot of those services from trusted vendors, and then teaching people on your team to do a lot of the stuff for you. Like, for example, we have a content writer. We have a lot of content writers because we're doing a lot of content. We have a project manager. We have somebody that does guest outreach for backlinks. And then we have various services that we buy, like citations, press releases, all those things. So as a service in general, 60 to 70%. I see a lot of people. Carolyn said 70%. Somebody said 55. John Young, 66. And I love that a lot of you do know your margin. Dorn says 65, not counting setup fee. And I like that too, Dorn. What's your setup fee that you're charging? And I see a lot of people on here are doing an SEO. And Carolyn says, I have an SEO client who refuses to do social media. I mean, sometimes they do. Sometimes it is that way. It's social media isn't like a requirement to rank in Google. You can rank in Google without having any social media, but it will definitely help you. Especially if you have a social media following. If your customer has a social media following and they can leverage the traffic, that referral traffic from social media, then that's going to help signal to Google that it's a popular site for different topics. But if they don't have any, authority, it's really just a backlink. That's all. It's a link from Facebook to your page. That's all that it really is. And probably a citation, right?
Yeah, and you mentioned citation. We've mentioned citations a couple of times, and some people on here may be new to SEO, and you may be asking yourself, well, what is a citation, and what is the difference between a citation and a backlink, and can you use one or the other? Like what do you need for it, right? So I'll try to explain this the best way I can. Sorry, Patches may be wandering around behind me because he's here with me working today. So just ignore him. That's Patches back there. So as you know, in SEO, a backlink is when a website links to your website, right? So in SEO, you want other websites to link to you, but you don't necessarily want to link back to them, right? In the early days, that was how people kind of gamed the system. You link to me, I link to you. It would push you up in the rankings. Google got wise. They did a slap. They're like, nope, you can't do that anymore. So now it's better when sites link to you, but you don't link to them, right? So that's a backlink just from any website. So a citation is a backlink, but it's a specific kind of local focused backlink. And in local SEO, one of the really important things to have worked out across all of your various digital properties is your name, address, and phone number, or NAP for short. You'll hear that word a lot in local SEO, the NAP. So making sure that your client has on their website, their NAP matches the NAP that's on their Google My Business page, that matches, any other mentions of their business. You want the name, address, and phone number to all be the same. Because when you list your local business on another authority site, like say Yellow Pages or the Better Business Bureau, or there's lots of sites like that have local businesses, your agency growth machine site, right? You put a business on there. Now that it's your site has their name, address, and phone number. And what Google does is they consider that like a backlink. So they take your business name and your name, address, and phone number, wherever it's at on a website, and they compare it to the name, address, and phone number on your actual website. And if the more of those you have that match, the more Google considers you a quote real business, right? They know you're a real business because these sites are listing you. The name, address, and phone number matches over here. So you're obviously a real person, a real business, and that helps push you up in the local rankings. So a citation and a backlink are very similar in that you're getting a listing on another website that's referring back to your website. But the important part of it is that that name, address, and phone number all matches up. And so a key part of local SEO is, setting up that name, address, and phone number, and then finding sites where you can list people. That's one of the things that makes a community resource website, like we show you how to set up in Agency Growth Machine, a powerful thing for a local business, because there are different kinds of citations, right? There are the big citations like Yellow Pages. What are a couple of other ones, Nick? Some of the big ones.
For citations, I mean, there are a lot. There are a lot of like industry specific citations.
Yeah, industry specific ones, right? But those are very general, right? Like they list businesses from all over the place. But there's also what's called a hyper local citation. And that's even better than just a regular citation, because a hyper local citation is a website in the same local area as your business that links to you. And they actually carry a little more weight, that's correct, right, Nick? Don't hyper local citations are a little better to have?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a difference in the big difference in backlinks and citations are really the geographical relevance. So geographical relevance, right? When you can add an address or some sort of geographical relevance, this could be through like a Google map embed. You know how when you go to Google, you can pull a map embed and embed that map on a site. Well, that has that relevance as well because it's connected to an address. It's connected to Google Maps, which is connected to your business listing. So it's like a web. You can think of your online presence starting with your website as like a web. And below your website, you will have all of the various properties that you own, like Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and you'll have your name, address, phone number, all those, and they're all going to be linking back to your website, right? So all of the authority and credibility and traffic and all that stuff is going to leach into your website. And so below all those Web 2.0 properties, we call them, which is those Facebooks and all those things, you have individual websites, blogs, directories, Yelp, Angie's List, Home Advisor, things like this. And again, all of that link juice, all that authority, all that traffic, it flows up, right? Because they're all interconnected, because even on those, you will have the links to your website and it will flow upward to your site. So when you're thinking about your own entity, your own website, think about like, where are your connections at right now? Do they all kind of like go back to your website, or are they all scattered, or do they go to different websites? Maybe you have a website that you set up 3 years ago and now you're using a different one and all your properties connect to that one, or you had a different address for your business 3 years ago. So some of the sites use different addresses and some of them use your new address. These are all things that will make for poor optimization in the eyes of Google, because when they look for your business through all their data, if it's confusing, then they're going to give you a confused answer. So the easier you can make it for them to make it all synonymous, I guess you could say, or all the same, the more relevant you're going to be for your business first, your brand, which is the most important, right? Your brand. Like if you can't look up your brand right now, like if you go to Google and you look up Nick Ponte, you're going to see my agency come up right away. You're going to see my agency come up in the knowledge graph on the right-hand side for my business listing. And then you're also going to see all kinds of stuff come up in the organic 10 about my agency. And that's because we have all of our properties optimized, properties optimized properly. Hang on 1 second, Tom. I was
going to say that 3 times fast.
Yeah. I'm going to move myself from the screen real quick. I'll be right back.
Sure. Yeah. So what I was saying is that's one of the benefits of an agency growth machine site to people that have listings on it, right? Is that you're giving them a citation, a really hyper local citation, which can be very helpful to SEO if you have a client that understands SEO and all that stuff as well. So citations are really a key part of it, right? And even though you'll probably hear a lot of new strategies and stuff that come out in local SEO, none of that stuff is really that effective if you don't have the fundamentals in place. And the fundamentals are those things that Nick was talking about, the on-page optimization, right? That's called, where you're making sure everything on the page is lined up, that everything on the website looks good, right? And then you start dealing with the off-page optimization, which are things like backlinks and local citations and creating all of that kind of stuff as well. So when you put those things together and then you start adding in other stuff, that's where you really start to grow SEO wise. And, every niche that you're in is different and every area is different, because depending on where you're at, the level of competition you're going to be up against. And when I say level of competition, what I mean is the number of the types of businesses that are in that area is one level of competition, but also how sophisticated are the people operating in that space, right? So when you look at something like DUI attorneys, it's a very competitive niche because most DUI attorneys understand they need very good SEO. And so the level of sophistication among those types of clients is very high. You're not going to, especially with the ones that can afford to hire you for SEO, they're probably already working with an SEO person. They already have a lot of these fundamental things in place, and they're working on even more advanced strategies, right? So if you're trying to break into that market with a brand new client that has nothing, it's going to be more of a challenge for you because these people have had more time. They're more sophisticated about what they need. They know they need it, and they've been building it up for years and years and years and years, right? So when you look at particular clients and the areas where you're at, those are all things you have to consider to kind of handle the expectations of what your client expects, right? And you can overcome those competitive things if someone is new, by doing more. But by doing more, obviously that raises the cost to the client, right? So a lot of times clients don't understand, that, well, look, if you're in a market where every carpet cleaner is doing SEO and they have certain things in place, like, you're going to have to spend some money and have a budget to compete with them, because you have to be at least doing what they're doing, if not more. So a lot of times when we're looking to put together an SEO plan for a particular client, that's how we do it, right? We look at the competitors in their space and what's going on in their area. And then based on what those people are already doing, we can get a pretty good idea of what we need to do to compete.
Yeah, that's a really good point. A big part of SEO, everybody, is competitive analysis, competitor analysis, where you're looking. See, in if I'm trying to rank for my name, Nick Ponte, there's only so many Nick Pontes, right? I'm not like a popular name, right? I'm not a John Smith. That would be a difficult term to be ranking for. John Smith would be very difficult. So you would have to look at who's ranking for John Smith at the very top if you were trying to beat him and see what he's doing. So you could do at least that and then some. So that's how you have to look at that competitor analysis. And same thing goes for any niche, any market, any industry, right? If you're doing solar, if Dorn's going after the solar company, eventually, and maybe even in the beginning before he makes a sale, he might want to do a little competitor analysis and see how tough the market he's trying to get into is, because that will help him do an estimate on what he thinks it's going to take to outrank his competition, right? It might be a more saturated, more competitive market to where you think your base package of whatever you're offering for $1,000 a month isn't going to do it. You might need to write 10 articles a month and get 3 backlinks. So you might need to charge $2,000 a month. And that's the way that you do it. And see, Dorn he said he already did it. It's wide open, which is great. So he would be able to get some traction for his customers without, having a lot of obstacle in the way of what he's doing. But it's always good to check that stuff out. Somebody asked, it's a really good question. Can you share some more info on Schema, please? What tool to use for Schema? We're actually, Tom, when are we doing the case study webinar that we have scheduled? Your mic is off. Your mic is off. You can't hear me. Can't hear you. Man, somebody let Tom know in the comments that his mic is off.
Oh, sorry. I would keep muting it because there's somebody doing something right outside my window, and I'm worried it's going to be noisy. So yeah, we're actually doing a SEO case study webinar this Wednesday, 3 p.m. Eastern. So if this is a topic that interests you, you guys are going to want to show up to that. I'm going to, here towards the end of the live, we'll drop a link so you can go register. It's going to be awesome. We're going to have some SEO guests on there. We're going to be talking about how to get some effective ratings with very few backlinks. It's a really, really awesome strategy that we've started to incorporate. And so we wanted to bring it to you guys because you're going to love it. It's really good. And you'll see right on the training, like the whole methodology, everything. Like I said, it's a case study. So it'll be really good to check it out.
Yeah, no, Dorn, it is Infusion. So this is, and more into the comment here about schema. So there's a tool involved which builds out your schema for you, which Dorn, you're already familiar with it. You've already mentioned some of the technology that it's built on. But basically what I used to do back in the day for schema, for those of you that don't know what schema is like another type of markup that you can add to your website that when Google crawls your website. So when Google crawls your website, it doesn't see what you and I see, right? When we go to Google and we look up roofers in Maui and we click on a website, we open it up, we're like, oh, wow, that's a great looking website. You know, we see all these images and it's very visual, right? When Google crawls a website, it sends, they call it a robot. It is a robot because it's not a person. It's a query. It's a ping, basically. It will crawl the website. And a website is all that visual stuff is made up of code, right? A lot of us use visual page composers, drag and drop builders, things like that. But really what those tools allow us to do is have a visual interface to create these code structures. You know what I mean? So if you go to a tool like ClickFunnels or Wix and even a visual composer in WordPress and you create like an actual page, that page is boiled down into some code that Google is reading. So for you to be able to tell Google what are the important things about this page that relate to what it does, like services, location, address, phone number, there are specific tags that you can map out around that content that will tell it immediately, like this is the business's name, this is the business's location, this is how many reviews it has, this is the services that it offers. And if you properly wrap the text in those tags, which is called schema, you will make it easier for Google to crawl your site. So there are a lot of stuff, or there's a lot of things that if you're, again, like maybe your competitor isn't using schema, well, that can be a way for you to get ahead of him, right? So you know that they're not using schema and now you're using schema. Well, that's going to really help you. So that's going to give you a leg up. And so the problem with it is like schema markup can be a pain in the ass, can be confusing. It can be very long depending on what industry you're in. And what I used to use is like have this copy and paste template of schema. Like it was long. It was in an Evernote file and I would copy it and paste it for everybody. And I would just kind of adjust the details. And you can do that, but there are better, more sophisticated ways to do that now, which is through different types of tools. We're going to share one of those tools on the training that Tom mentioned coming up here. So we'll share a link to that if you want to take advantage of that toward the end of the stream.
Yeah, we'll do that towards the end. You know, one thing I'd point out too about SEO, because we talked about the difference between citations and backlinks. And if there's anybody who's new to SEO, and you know, you'll hear us say we use two different terms, right? We talk about SEO and we also talk about local SEO. And you may be wondering, well, what's the difference between that, right? So here, let me share my screen. I want to show you guys something. So I just pulled up a regular Google map here, and we'll use the term Nick just mentioned. So he said roofer Maui, right? So you can see on this page, and this is a pretty good example of this, right? On this search page up here at the top, there's an ad, there's another ad, and then you have this section here, which changes based on the location of the searcher, right? So then you have obviously other search results, right? So there's a couple things I want to point out about this page. So this little section here, this maps section, This is called the maps, the 3-pack. A lot of people call it, because typically there's just 3 listings here, right? So it can be easier and less competitive sometimes, not always, to get your clients ranked on this maps listing versus getting them to show up on this would be considered page 1 of Maui of Google, right? So a lot of times when we're doing what we call local SEO, this is what we're focusing on, right? Helping them show up here, because this can be a little quicker win, right? Getting them higher in this maps listing. And again, this changes based on the location of the searcher. So if you search roofer, wherever you're at, these things will be different, right? So, and I think if you just search, even if we weren't to put, if I don't put roofer in the search term and I just search roofer, you'll actually see, look, that map listing is different, right? Because I'm in Nevada, I'm not in Maui. So it's changed this area. So when somebody just goes in and types in roofer, mover, electrician, like they're going to get a customized view of things in their area, right? So that's one thing to know about this kind of local SEO, right? The difference between just being on page 1 and being in the maps listing. And a lot of times you can be in the maps listing and you don't need to be on page 1, right? The other thing I kind of point out about this page, and roofers is another great example of this, is in today's digital age, there are a gazillion of what Google considers authority sites. Authority sites usually take up a lot of space on front page rankings. And when you have a term that you're trying to rank for that uses a lot of authority sites, it can be more difficult to rank for that term, right? So if you look at this page, right, you can see here's the map listing, but the very first listing, the actual organic search result is what this would be called, is a Wikipedia page, right? Because Wikipedia is a very high authority site in Google's eyes. You'll see the next thing here is Yelp, right? Here's expertise.com. Very unlikely that you're going to be able to bump any one of these sites off of the #1 ranking, right? So when you're talking to clients, and SEO, a lot of it is handling a client's expectations, right? Like these are things that you would be pointing out to them. Like, look, it's very unlikely that your little website and wherever you're at is going to knock Yelp or Wikipedia off of these top results. As you kind of go down, there's other sites you see in here, right? But look, here's salary.com, even another one, right? Networks, these are probably all authority sites. So it is more difficult to rank here versus helping a client to rank here. So a lot of times we focus on this area here.
Yeah, that's good stuff. What do you guys think about this type of live stream where we do a little bit more content up front? Give me a couple of give me a like on the stream if this is what you're into. I know we have a usual format which we really like, but Tom and I were talking before the show, like, should we do a little more strategy leading up to or in the beginning of all of our Facebook lives? It'd be good for us to know. So if you guys could like the stream, if you like that, appreciate it.
Yeah, one thing we need to do though, Nick, is we need to.
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money. Money, money, money.
Dollar, dollar. Dollar, dollar. Ching, bling, bling, got the chatter. You ain't talking money, then you're talking no matter.
We need to give away some cash out money before we get to the end. So what's a good SEO? Come on, Nick, pull out a fantastic SEO question. It's going to be a challenge.
Okay, I'm ready. You guys ready? First person that gets this answer correctly in the chat is going to win some cash out money. The answer is not Patches. The answer is not Kevin. The answer is not Tom's middle name, which is money. The question is, what does the acronym NAP stand for?
Might not be bad to take a nap after this call.
Yeah, I'm gonna go take a nap right now. See y'all later. And it's
I don't see. Oh, wait. I see them coming in now like crazy. I got to scroll to the top.
Nap. Everybody wants to take a nap.
Ooh, I think this is the first one. Yep, it looks like it. Woo. Carolyn James got it right. First one out of the gate.
All right, Carolyn.
Name, address, phone.
That's
The
right.
NAP. Very common term, right?
The NAP. And it is, like Tom has mentioned, so important for ranking in local SEO, right? You need to have that consistency. If you look at my site, actually, Tom, should I pull it up real quick just to kind of break down some of the NAP strategy?
You can. I see somebody said they won first, but I'm not seeing that in the stream. I see Raving Metrics put in Kevin. There's no name, address, phone number before that. Raving Metrics put in Kevin. And then the very next one is Carolyn James.
That's what I see too.
Then there's Guy Bergstrom, Dorn Britton. They were so close. Guy and Dorn were so close. Then there's a Facebook user that came in after those three.
You got to be faster. You got to be faster.
Yeah.
You've got to be faster. So here, real quick, everybody.
I wonder, is it something messed up with the stream?
No.
Yeah, because they're not showing as ahead of me. They all came in at the same time, but it put Carolyn as the number one in our stream. So Carolyn's the winner. Sorry, Doran.
So just so you know, everybody, like in StreamYard, we're streaming to a few different places, right? We're streaming to our Facebook group. We're streaming to YouTube. We have a feed of all the comments coming in. So if you think that you were first and somebody was in YouTube and you're in Facebook and somebody was in YouTube and they were ahead of you, well, we see that coming in, right? So don't worry. We're not trying to shortchange anybody, and we don't have any favorites. In fact, Dorn is just ineligible. He already said it. He can't even win. He's not even allowed to win anymore. Dorn's our 100K Megalodon shark. He's already he's just hanging out for the popcorn and the entertainment.
He's doing more than 100K now. A few 100K.
He's doing a lot. He's doing a lot. All right.
Awesome.
So,
yeah, go ahead, Nick. Fire away. Carolyn, somebody from our team will get you sorted. Put your Cash App money or your PayPal email in the feed there. We'll get you sorted out.
Yep. There you go. So just real quick, everybody, this is my agency website, right? I just wanted to give you like an example of what I mean about the actual name, address, phone number, right? So obviously we have the phone number at the top of the page, but I have it set up in the footer. So if I go to the bottom of the page, you'll see that we have the Google map, right? So that's an embed. That's a direct link back to our Google business page, which shares that geographical relevance, right? This is telling Google that this website is in fact at this location, and that's our business listing. So it's a pin directly on the map, right? And then of course at the bottom here you have the business name, the address, and the phone number. See that? And so that's really what it is. And for those of you that are looking for schema information, if you go to Google and you type in structured data checker, test your so Google has this tool where you can test your structured data. So if I go here and I type in my website and I test this URL, Google's going to, it's basically going to do this is what it does every time someone runs like a search request. It's literally taking this data right now and it's stacking it up next to all the other things that it thinks is relevant for Nick Ponte. And then it is analyzing it and producing what it thinks is the most relevant at the very top of the search results. And that essentially is search engine optimization, right? And schema can be different for each page because one page might be about a specific service and you want to signal to Google for that, right? So I have taken advantage of a lot of schema here, which I hope that you all will join us for that training so you can also take advantage of that schema because there's a lot of data here, right? This is a lot. Like, look at this information that I've told Google we're specifically about, right? The name, address, phone number, our logo, the price range, right? So the price range, I don't know if any of you have ever, if you search in Google, like Hawaii SEO, right? You will find let's go to, Maui SEO. I'm looking for a specific thing here. Okay, so this is my business right here, right? We're ranking number 1 for both Hawaii SEO and Maui SEO, but for whatever reason, Google is showing some of the schema data for this listing. So you see how there's these 5 stars here, and it says I have 5 to 41 ratings, and the price range is $100 plus $100. See how the guy in position 3 doesn't have that? I'm in position 1 and 2. My second page doesn't have it, but see how this guy doesn't have it either? Guy in number 4 has the stars, but the stars really stand out in the top 10, right? When I look through rankings, if I see the stars, to me, that's a more accredited business. You get that by having schema on your website. So you can see that, I have my price range here, this $150 section, this review snippet where I have the ratings, you basically tell them how many good ratings you have. That's all because of schema. And if you look at this page on the right, this crazy thing, this is the actual page and all the schema added to it. So if you don't know how to write this, if you do not know how to write this, which I do not, then you may want to join us for the training on actually, Tom, you may as well just throw that link up, man.
Oh yeah, sure. Here, I'm gonna throw it up because you're definitely gonna want to come check this out. I mean, it's like a rabbit hole, right? But like knowing the fundamentals is super important.
Yeah. So
it's offlinesharks.com/quick-easy-SEO. And you can register for the training there. It's going to be a good one.
So if you're not using schema, this is something you need to be taking advantage of. This is huge, especially for local SEO. And if you haven't been using this at all, then this could be a missing piece for you. And we're going to talk about that more on that training, give you a tool that'll take care of it for you as well.
Yeah, schema. It's like one of my favorite analogies of SEO is always like the nightclub analogy. Like Google's the nightclub, right? They're the bouncer at the door and you're trying to get in. And it's much easier to get into a nightclub if you're sharply dressed, right? If you look important, right? Schema's like your outfit. Like it just makes you look important. You're looking, what do they call it? Dressed to the nines. Am I showing my age there? Dressed to the nines.
Yeah.
Anyway, but like
now
you look hip, slick, cool, right? And then the more people you know in the club, the easier it is for you to get in, right? You don't know anybody there. You're like, frick, you can't get in. But the more people you know in the club, the easier it is to get in.
Dorn.
What did Dorn say? I probably don't even want to know, do I?
Yeah. Professional. Yeah. He said professional.
Professional. I would expect nothing less. Hey, one thing we do need to do before we wrap up our talk on SEO and give away some more Cash App money is we need to acknowledge our member of the week. So every week we pick someone from our community and we make a member of the week. So it's somebody who's achieved something big or they're a good steward of our community, somebody that's just being a good Offline Sharks member. And so this week, we have an amazing member of the week. We talked about him a little earlier, but he's back. Our member of the week this week is Mr. Clint Howard. So Clint, it's a big deal to get a mailer up and put out like that. So congratulations. Again, I love this picture of the family. It's so awesome. And somebody from our team is going to reach out to you, Clint. We're going to get some special shark swag to send to you. Also, if you guys can just fire up this stream and just let Clint know, congratulations, way to go. Awesome work. Really appreciate that. We want to blow up his Facebook. And that's our member of the week. If you want to be a member of the week, be a good steward of the Facebook group, get in there, help out, answer questions, post your successes, talk about anything that's a roadblock. And you could see yourself up here as a member of the week as well.
Yeah, we want to send you some Offline Shark stuff, some swag. Your link is broken, by the way, Tom.
What?
How dare he?
Someone is getting fired.
Have a broken link on this live stream. 1 second, everybody.
Hold on.
We're going to get you a new link. Don't worry. Uh-oh. My property manager is calling from Hawaii.
Hold on.
That's not good.
I bet it's because of the last... Cameron.
Cameron, help.
Cameron, help, Cameron, help, Cameron.
Hold
Our
on,
link is not working.
We'll get that set up.
Hold on, let me look in here. Maybe I grabbed the wrong one. You know what? I may have grabbed the wrong one. Hold on, give me just a second. It was probably me.
I don't know. That link in our Slack channel with Tyler doesn't work either.
Wait. Yep, I grabbed the wrong link. I grabbed it out of there. You know what? I violated the number one rule, Nick. I didn't go to the show notes.
Oh man.
Hold on.
Shashan's gonna get you.
She's gonna kill me.
Apparently it's working.
Uh-oh, I may be the one that's getting fired. Here we go. So go to offlinesharks.com/page1.
You're way off.
Yeah. Well, I saw the one in the Slack channel and I copied it, not thinking that I was thinking that was going to be the one in the show notes, but it wasn't. As with most things, it was user error. But yeah, go to offlinesharks.com/page1 and I will post that in the comments as well. That will get you going.
Yeah, again, everybody, we're going to be talking more about SEO, a tool that you can use to help you with your SEO, help you to rank your site. Because as we've already kind of identified for you, there's a lot of moving parts to search engine optimization, right? And if you can simplify it and make it easier, which we're going to show you how to do on this training. And this is, by the way, we need to stress this, Tom. This is a case study training. It's an actual case study, right? Where we're going to go through a case study of actually ranking a site. We're going to show you the results
using this strategy, right? So like you'll see how it all works in real time in the real world, boots on the ground. It's not like a theory training. It's not, it's not anything like that. It's an actual case study, which I think when it comes to SEO, those are the most valuable, right? When you can see an actual case study, because there's so many variables that can happen, right? Like when you see a case study, you can actually see it in action, see how it works, and really grasp what's going on.
Yeah. It's really important to be the thing about search engine optimization is if you get information from somebody that is inaccurate or old or outdated, it really sucks because it takes time to implement this stuff. It takes time for Google to pick up this stuff. And you might, think you have something locked in and solid, and you're like sitting there waiting. You're going to Google every day. Let me know if you've ever done this before. You make some SEO changes to your site and you're just waiting, right? You're waiting for the grass to grow basically. And you're going back to Google every day and you're refreshing and you're opening incognito windows and you're having your wife going through her phone and looking for your site and asking her where you're showing up and all your friends. Well, I've been there. I've done that. And if you don't have cutting edge information, the reality is you could never see the results that you're looking for. And you don't even know it till you're like 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months in. So my promise to you guys is what is going to be shared on this training is actually cutting edge. And you're going to see for yourself that it's real live case study material, not from 6 years ago, not from 4 years ago, not for 3 years ago, from in the last like 60 days. So it's in the front lines, I guess you could say, of SEO.
Yeah, you're actually going to see in the case study, we're actually going to show you how they rank 19 keywords on page 1 with only 5 backlinks. I mean, it's super, it's amazing. When you see it, you're going to be like, oh, mind blown. And by the way, just so everybody knows, that link that's on the chat, when you click it, it's going to take you to Messenger because we set up a one-click registration. So you don't have to fill anything out or do anything like that. It's super easy. You just click it, go to Messenger, and it just automatically registers you. So if you're seeing Messenger, you're in the right place. It's a one-click registration system. Awesome. So, bless you, Nick. Man, you just seen that sneeze. Nick just in the green room.
I had to go in the green room because I didn't want to get anybody. I didn't want to, there's a flu going around. I don't know if you guys know.
Awesome. Let's see. Perfect. Norm says he's in. Awesome, Norm. Norm, you have a lot of stuff to be working on, man.
Yeah, and he's sick. He's sick too.
Ooh. Yeah, I had a real bad sinus infection last week. I'm just kind of getting over it. I still sound a little nasally, but it's getting better. Awesome. Let's see. What else do we have to talk about here? Let me see. So we got the link, offlinesharks.com/page 1. That's the training. We talked about schema, our secret weapon for SEO, right? We talked about local SEO, all those kinds of things. Clint Howard, man, again, congratulations, right? $2,240 in profit from one mailer. Really, really awesome. And then, I'm trying to look at some comments here to see if there's anything.
Give us a last question. Sharks. We want one more.
Yeah. There is a. Yeah, no, Dorn, man, no new books. I have some books. I'll have a book next week because I just ordered a couple. They're supposed to be showing up today.
Oh, somebody asked about the Fiverr gigs. That's a good question. I think, Carolyn, I wasn't sure if it was you. So somebody asked specifically about buying citations from Fiverr. I can't speak specifically to whatever gig you're looking at. We actually have a link to where we go to buy citations, and it's for a discount too. It's offlinesharks.com/web20 number 20, and you get a discount for using our link. So that's where I go to buy citations, and the reason I do is because I trust them. I know them. I know the guys that own that site. I know the guys that own the service, and for citation building, I've bought tens of thousands of dollars worth of citations from them. I know their quality. I know they know what they're doing, and I trust them. So that's what we use. With Fiverr, I can't speak to those specific people, but just beware that usually cheaper is not better. You usually pay what you get, or you get what you pay for. And with those gigs, the quality is just not usually there. So, and as Tom mentioned, with SEO, we collect the money. We collect money up front. Like, we sell a client for $1,000 a month SEO retainer. We collect that $1,000, and then we buy the various things that we need. And citations may be one of them. So we're not really paying out of pocket. We're paying out of our gross profit. So out of gross profit, we end up at a 60-70% gross profit margin that we actually take home. If you're a one man or woman show, then you have your net profit, which is all of that basically, unless there's some other stuff that I'm unaware of. But yeah.
Yeah, and I would say the last really big SEO tip that I would give to people that are on here is that if you're someone who is new to SEO, or you really want to dig in and learn SEO, right? There's no better way to do that than to actually do it. But maybe you don't want to like try to learn it on a client's dime. Like, you wouldn't feel comfortable doing that. Like, for instance, we didn't feel comfortable doing that, right? So the way that we got around that conundrum of, what do we do, is we just did SEO to the agency site. So Nick started doing it to his agency site, getting it ranking. It really did a ton of stuff for us, right? Number one, it became a lead generation machine, right? Like, people contact Nick all the time because of the rankings. Two, it boosted the confidence because it's like, look, we knew we could do it. We had something we could show people too. Like, we could do our own case study on how we ranked our site. So we could tell people, like, look, we know what we're talking about because just Google Hawaii SEO. There we are, number one, right? That's a really good way to learn, do it, and get benefit from learning, right? Because you're investing in your own business and doing it that way. Once you get a client, a good way to continue to sell SEO as a service is when you get a client and you start doing SEO for them, document everything so that as your client gets results, you can then turn that collection of material you have into your own case study that then you can then show other potential clients and say, hey, this is what I did for this client. Look, this is what we did. This is where we're at. Like, that's a really great way to do it as well.
Yeah, that's a good, and you already should be documenting all that stuff anyway, because at the end of the month, you want to be giving them reports on what you've done. A big part of SEO is like communicating the value that you're providing, because you're going to do a lot of stuff in month 1 and they're not going to see any changes or very little changes, but you need to like communicate that to them. That's going to help with your stick rate. Somebody asked about Marketer Center. We've used Marketer Center for years. They're great too. I believe we have a coupon code over there. It's local SEO Shark that Dorn mentioned. The only reason that we started going through Web 20 is just they offer a couple of other things that Marketer Center doesn't use. And as all of you know, it's nicer to just keep all your stuff in one place, right? So
Yeah, awesome. Well, before we wrap up the live show, Nick, we need to give away some more money. I'm going to play the money song one more time.
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money. Money, money, money.
Dollar, dollar. Dollar, dollar. Ching, ching, bling, bling, chatter, chatter. You ain't talking money, then you're talking no matter.
Who's our lucky winners on the Shark Shoutout? So at the beginning of the show, we asked people to go to offlinesharks.com/shoutout, leave a congratulations to our shoutouts for today. And now we're going to pick some random winners and send them some cash out money.
I'm looking. I'm not seeing the 2 people yet that have been picked.
Hold on. I might say, look, my Slack is doing it again. I see. Oh, having some technical difficulties here.
Hold on. Type. This keyboard at this house is like, it's like a real gaming keyboard. You can hear it real loud. So our winners is Tony Pickering and Paula.
Awesome.
Just Paula.
Congratulations, Tony and Paula.
Heck yeah. Good job, everybody. Real quick, rapid fire questions. Raving Metrics says, how do you document, show the improvements they make? We use tools. So show up to the live training on offlinesharks.com/page1. We gather the data on the tools that we use. And then Norm, that's a good question for the training as well. Speaking about sitemaps and XML submission, we're going to be talking about that, how a tool that we use creates a sitemap and submits it. So it's all going to be very helpful. If you all are interested in anything more that we were talking about today, go to the link you see on your screen, offlinesharks.com/page1. We're going to be diving into detail with a couple of friends of ours that actually, and when I say friends, I mean friends. I kind of don't really like when internet marketers get on a webinar and they're like, hey, this is my buddy, here he is. And like, they let them like pitch their stuff. Well, they don't really even know each other. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like who we're having come are actually our friends. Like we know them well, but beyond that, I'm regularly working with them directly to improve my SEO, figure out new cutting edge strategies. When I have issues, who do I go to? I have a tight knit circle of people that are just crushing it with SEO, and that's who's coming to the training. So we are going to
I think they may even be in New York, right?
One of them's coming to New York. He's coming to the Shark Party. By the way, if anybody's in New York and they want to come to our Shark Party, Labor Day, September 4th, we got a rooftop, have a little get together. You should show up.
It's going to be, as the youngins say, it's going to be lit.
No, they changed it. It's now Liddy.
Oh, it's going to be Liddy. I was in the car with my daughter the other day, and she turned to me and she said, Dad, can I say something bold but controversial? And I was like, wow, that's a pretty big opinion about whatever you're about to share with me. Like, just name what it's going to be. Can I share something bold but controversial? I was like, all right. It's starting at their high school, Nick. A boy asked Paige for her phone number, said she was cute, asked her for a number, and then Sophie got a note from a boy in her class that said, I like you.
Did you take away their cell phones?
I went to the gun store.
Oh, there you go. That too.
No, I didn't take away their cell phones and lock them down, but and I didn't go to the gun store.
Yeah. Well,
Nice. Well, awesome. Well, listen, thanks so much for hanging out with us. I know we went a little over. We loved having you here. Great questions. That was a fantastic topic for this week's live show. Like Nick said, if you guys are into this style of live show where we kind of delve deep into a topic and talk about specific and strategies and stuff, like let us know in the comments so we can do more of those. Next week, Dorn, I will have a book of the week for you. I know I haven't had one for a while. I will have one next week. And go to the link, offlinesharks.com/page 1. It's a one-click sign-up thing through Messenger. Get registered for the case study training on Wednesday. You guys are going to love it. It's going to be litty. It's going to be litty. We'll see you there, and we'll see you next week on the Shark Facebook live show. Until then, stay safe out there, everybody, and we'll see you next week.
You've been listening to the Sharks Live Show, your weekly local marketing jam session. Every week, packed full of local marketing strategy, tactics, tips, and fun. Don't forget to like, comment, and share this stream. You can stay up to date throughout the week with Nick's YouTube videos at nickponte.com/YouTube and Tom's podcast at tomgaddis.com. We'll be back here next Friday for another Sharks Live Show. Until then, aloha.